Good morning, I'm Taryn, I'm an alcoholic. Wow, this does not get easier, does it? But I'm not going to make it all about me this morning because it's really not about me. I'd like to thank my higher power for giving me another day sober, and I'd like to thank Nats for cheering for me, and you guys for all being here. And wow, what a journey it has been. I don't like to share too much about my war stories because everyone's got crap in their life. And I'm a drama queen, so I indulge in that shit. So, yeah, how it was. For me, when I was born into this world, God help everyone. But, my parents were two wonderful, awesome parents. I never went without anything. They worked their butts off for me, and they gave me whatever it was that I needed. I was born in Durban, and we commuted. We lived in a few different areas in the beginning. We lived on an Air Force base because my dad was doing service in the force, and we lived in Toti. I stand to be corrected, but I can't remember any of this. But things were good. After about 3 years, my brother was born, and I loved him to bits and pieces. He was my boy. I was so happy not to be alone in life. I had a little brother to hold my hand through things. And then we went to Joburg, and another three or so years later, my other brother was born. And I was ecstatic. Things were good. I was obsessed with him. Like when I was younger, all the girls had their dollies, and my second brother was my dolly. And I bathed him, fed him, looked after him like he was my own. Unfortunately, 2 years, plus minus 2 years later, we had a tragic event where he was found in a swimming pool. And my parents tried their best to save his life, but it was up to God, not them, and God decided he needed him more up in heaven. And I mention this in my story because it's where I picked up my first defective character without alcohol or drugs in my system. I was about 8 years old, and I learned from this. I froze from the whole experience, and when I was at his service and all of that, I didn't cry. I was a brave young girl, and I got affirmation from that for not crying and showing my true emotion. And all the ladies and my friends were like, "Oh, you're so brave. You know, you handle situations so well." And needless to say, after that, I went home and I closed myself in my room and I bawled my eyes out. So I learned not to show my true emotions from a very young age, and I carried this with me. Anyway, to progress, we then moved to Durban. My dad had a work opportunity there, so we reset and restarted. And I was really over everything because I had to restart, make new friends at school, and I wasn't interested in any of this. And I was very much isolated with that little defect of mine. And after a while, I started getting interested in sports again, and I started slowly making friends again, and things started picking up again. And I was a naughty child, but I tried the best that I could. I was average in school. I did what I needed to do to get by. And in grade 8, when I went to high school, that's when things started to get a little bit different for me, because all those friends that I made went to different schools, and then I was in a new school again and had to make new friends. And I was always looking for ways to fit in. I was always looking at the other girls. I was always looking at the other kids and what they were doing and what I could do to be cool like them and to be accepted. Because even though I had my friends, there was still a part of me that felt separate and apart. So I did what they were doing. I discovered my first drink at the age of, I was under 14. I was at a friend's party and I saw the grown-ups drinking this substance, this alcohol, and I saw them having a great time, so I thought, let me try that for myself. And in the beginning of this party, I felt awkward. I felt like I wasn't interesting. I felt like, I was very awkward. I couldn't communicate, and I had a glass of this liquid, and I felt at ease. All of a sudden, all those feelings went away. I was the best dancer. I was the life and soul of the party. People were laughing at the stupid things that I did. They weren't judging me. All of these perceptions that I made for myself all disappeared with this glass. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's what this is going to do. So let me bulk up on this and get some supplies in. So I kept on drinking, expecting this feeling to last, but it worked to my demise. And I ended up being very debaucherously drunk. My mom, I think you sat on me to keep me quiet and locked me in a room, and I was out of control. And the next day, instead of everyone saying, oh, you're such a bad girl, they said, oh, you were so funny, you said this and that, and I got that attention again from acting out and being the rebel and being the bad chick. And I kept that. I was like, okay, cool, so this is what I do to fit in, and this is how I get accepted. So that started manifesting in itself, and I realized that all the girls in high school were all about the parties, where to be seen in Durban, who you were with, what clubs you got into, and I was like, okay, let me try. I need to do that to fit in with all the girls and all the boys. So I started doing that, and I was at the clubs. I was making fake IDs. I was doing all of that, and I was the girl who always had the stash of alcohol away, and I was always the person to go to. And I used this as I made this as my acceptance card. And then that stopped working because everyone got over that, and all the girls had boyfriends. So I was like, got to try that then. I've got to get one of those to be accepted. So I started dabbling with men and with boys, and it was cool. No offense to any of you guys, but I tried it and it didn't really work for me, and I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. I'm with this boy and I'm falling asleep. I'm so bored, And I realized that I was more interested in girls, and that was another thing that was wrong with me. And I found all these things that were wrong with me in my life, instead of seeing what was right with me. And I kept running to this alcohol to reassure myself and Dutch courage to get myself through things. And high school is great. I eventually, at the end of high school, I wanted to leave and go on a gap year because it was cool. Everyone was partying, and I wanted to go discover life. And I was interested in chefing, and my parents said, no, you're going to chef school. So I was like, I don't want to go to chef school because then I have to go back to school and take responsibility and do all those boring things. And I was interested, but it wasn't convenient for me because I'm entitled, I'm arrogant, I'm self-opinionated, and I always think I knew better. And I saw where the chef school was located, and it was one of the finest chef schools in those days in Durban. And instead of looking at the chef school to be like, wow, what an advantage, what a privilege, what an amazing privilege to be in this chef school, I looked at the road that it was in, and I was like, oh, look at all the clubs here, and look at all the places, and look at what affirmation I can be for being at these places. And I mapped out all the bars and all the clubs instead of mapping out the amazing chef school. Sorry, Mom. But I thought, okay, cool, let me do this, and I can work, and I can still party, and I can still have my fun, and I can still be faulty. And I could have done a lot better, but I was highly distracted in the parties and all of that, and that got the better of me. And yeah, I was a shit in chef school. I was always getting into trouble. I walked in the door and people, my head chef just used to look at me and be like, principal's office, and I'm just like, cool, like it was an ordinary day. And I used to get attention from being the girl that was always rebelling and getting in trouble and saying the smart ass comments and finding faults in what people had to say, and I always found an avenue to explore and prove them that they were wrong. And I used to make the lecturers' lives a living hell. And I enjoyed that because I got attention from that. And I found my first fiance, which was a woman, and that was also another thing that I focused on, and that became a high power, and that was all about her. It was, chef school was just a day-to-day thing that I needed to do to get by. And yeah, eventually I got introduced to my drug of choice, which I tried, and this drug of choice, it made me confident, made me talk, it made me do all these amazing things. I could drink as much as I wanted to and not get drunk. And it was just a spiral, a roller coaster of debauchery. And eventually I had an unfortunate event where she passed away, and I made it all about me. And we went on a family holiday, and all of this wonderful stuff happened, and I was self-obsessed, I was self-centered. I drank because I was depressed. I didn't see all the amazing things that were happening in my life. And I found myself in my first treatment center, and I made it a big riot and a big joke, and I set the fire alarm off and made the people run out the building with towels, and I pranked everyone in the facility, and I didn't realize I had a problem, and I just thought it was a way to take the heat off. And anyway, after that I tried again. I thought Durban was a problem, so I moved to the Eastern Cape for another girlfriend that I had, and I moved everything. I moved from my home. People told me not to do it. It was a bad decision, and I didn't listen to anyone. I just thought I knew better, and I arrived there in the middle of nowhere in the Eastern Cape, and I discovered that this person that I was interested in was having an affair with someone else, and I was left there in a brand new province. I was in the Eastern Cape by myself, and this is where my other drug of choice took me, which was people, women. And so I decided, let me try again. So I fixed on work. So I thought, okay, that's not going to fulfill me, so let me fix on work. And then I worked my way up. I walked into that kitchen. I was at a very prestigious lodge. I worked my way up from a commis chef to a senior chef de partie, almost a sous chef. And things were good. And then I discovered partying again. I'm a very resourceful alcoholic. You'll put me in the middle of nowhere, and I'll find where all the parties are in the radius around me. And I was going to PE, I was going to Grahamstown, I was going to Port Alfred, I was going everywhere, and I was partying, and the madness continued. But I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just said, my granddad was Scottish, and I've got Scottish blood, and my party trick was to drink all the boys under the table, and it was just mad. And then stuff started getting unmanageable there, and I started getting late for work, and consequences started mounting up. So I thought, you know what, it's Eastern Cape's problem. It's Eastern Cape, it's bad for me, let me move. So I geographicaled again, and I moved back to Durban. From there, I moved to another lodge, which was in the Sabi Sands, quite a prestigious lodge. And I started working there. I lasted another 2 years as well in that lodge. And I thought PE was a problem, but I took the problem with me this whole time. I was the problem. I was the bad egg, and I created all this crap, but I didn't see that. I dismissed, I blamed, and I moved. That's what I did. I jumped. So then, yeah, I did the same thing. I walked in, told my head chef that I'm a saint. I only drink occasionally. I don't really smoke that much. I'm trying to give up. And I painted this floral picture of something that I was not. And I lied. And yeah, then I discovered that, yeah, they party hectically there. And I loved that. And then that party animal in me came out again. And I did really ridiculous things in that place. And I placed myself in danger. I had such arrogance that I chased the elephants around the village, and I was the crazy person to try the stunts and kick hyenas in the ass and do all those crazy things and dares and all of that. And it really didn't earn me a reputation of admiration. People were just like, she's mad. And I got that confused because I thought they think I'm cool because I'm doing all these mad things, but I wasn't. People were worried about me. Anyway, then I found the party stopped working and the consequences mounted up there too. And I found another person and I decided, no, this time I want to maybe settle down, maybe get a house, maybe try the white picket fence thing, maybe the lodges and the chef life is what's my problem. So my best friend got me involved in a very prestigious hotel in Durban, and I worked there for almost a year. Also debauchery. I could have made a very good name for myself, but I made a very questionable name for myself. And then I decided it's everywhere else, let me try Centurion. So I went there and I built myself up. We rented a nice little townhouse. I got everything. I worked for everything that I've always wanted. I got myself a horse. I started riding. I've always ridden, but I've started competitions. I started Western riding. Everything was going great. I had dogs. I had everything I've always dreamed of. But it still wasn't enough. There was still something that there was this void inside of me, and I still had to have drama. And everything was fine. I had a job. Everything was going okay in my eyes, and I wasn't misbehaving much, which was a miracle. And it wasn't good enough for me. And I started going out with the guys after work and having a few beers, and then started all over again, the cycle. And I started coming home late at night, and I started messing up in my job. And when I opened the door for alcohol, it came in, and I messed everything up. I self-destructed again. And she said to me, drinking is going to be the end of us, and you are an alcoholic. And wow. Well, needless to say, I was very angry. I acted childishly. I broke stuff. I lost my temper. I argued, I fought, and she was right and I was wrong. I am an alcoholic, but don't ever tell me that, because I know how to handle my alcohol, and obviously I didn't. Anyway, a number of events happened throughout my life. I've had so many car accidents, and my dad, what I forgot to mention is my dad would always pick up the responsibilities and the consequences for me and take care of everything and put them into a nice little parcel and say, there you go, here's a new car, Taryn, here's a new start, Taryn, here's you in trouble with this, here, let me help you. And I never took responsibility for anything that I did. I didn't like consequences. I referred to consequences as life dealing me a shitty card, and I thought I was always hard done by, because woe is me, I made it about me. Anyway, I had quite a severe car accident towards the end, and I was put in another treatment center, and I still didn't wake up to the realization that I had a problem. And this treatment center was even nicer. There were horse rides, there was spas, there was treatments, it was lovely. And they gave me medication, they gave me tablets for calming down. They gave me tablets at night to go to sleep. They gave me, if I threw my toys out the cot and acted out, I was given some tablets and told to go rest, you know. And I was put in cotton wool, and my defective character I have nothing against this facility, but I was empowered as an alcoholic, and I was told that I'm right and I need to take control of my life and I can do this and all that crap. And yeah, I walked out of there with a script from here to next week, and I thought, I've got this. I can sort my life out and I'm going to make things better. And I was self-reliant and I was self-willed. And wow, did I fall short with that arrogance and that attitude and that persona, because after a week, my friend dared me. She put a shot of vodka in my coffee, and I thought, man, I'm going to prove these people wrong. And I drank this, and I said, oh, you see, nothing happened. They all don't know what they're talking about, whatever. And I justified my own reasoning and my own delusion, and I went further into it. And after a week, I was full on drinking again, but worse. I was drinking like gin, like vodka, like hardtack, and I wasn't drinking to have a good time. I was drinking to get drunk and forget, because I was still indulged in the drama of the pain of my ex leaving me and all this. But she left me because I was a wreck and because I caused all that for myself, but I didn't see that. I didn't see my actions. Anyway, then after that, I thought, you know what, let me pack up here. Centurion is obviously bad. Let me move back to Durban, because my family there, my friends there, and this isn't working, so restart again. Came back to Durban. I was miserable. I was empty. I was a shell of a person. So then came my drug of choice back into the window. It snuck in, and yeah, it didn't magically climb up my nose like I've been told. I put it up there, and I thought, you know what, I'm not drinking, I'm taking this. So I can tell people I'm not drinking, and I've got this that I can rely on. And it stopped working. The script stopped working, the antidepressants stopped working, the alcohol stopped working. So I thought, you know what, I've had enough, I'm going to kill myself. So let me just take myself out of the equation, because I'm useless, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless. I'm of no use to anyone. So let me try. And I tried, and I woke up the next morning, and I was very angry because I wasn't dead. And I was like, God, what is going on? And I was so desperate for God, but I didn't know where to find him. And I was always praying for him to get out of shit. But I wasn't changing myself. I wasn't changing my behavior, my actions. And I was just carrying on this spiral of bullshit and deception. Eventually, cut a long story short, I ran out of money. I was gambling. I was putting the stuff up my nose. I was drinking. I was playing pool. I was of no use to anyone. I was just a burden to my parents, and I broke their hearts with my behavior. I was miserable. I didn't know what to do with myself. They didn't know what to do with me. We tried church. We tried psychiatrists. They just doubled my dosages. They put me on all different things, and it didn't work, and nothing was working. So in the end, I eventually said, okay, I can't do this anymore. Put up my hands. I wrote down as much as I could on foolscap. I gave it to my parents, and I just said, I can't, I'm miserable, I don't want to live, because I'm sick of life, and I'm too scared to kill myself because it doesn't work. Tried it, doesn't work. So what can I do? I don't know what to do, please help me. And I became honest with them, and I became willing to try anything, because all my stuff didn't work. Maybe they knew something that I didn't to help me. And yeah, they found my third treatment center, and I went in there. I was so powerless over my addiction and my alcohol that I went in there wasted, because I couldn't, in the end, I couldn't be sober because it was too painful. I had to have something in me at all times to alter the state of mind, to alter the reality, to alter the feelings that I felt, because I didn't want to feel them because they were uncomfortable. So I went in there, off my face, needless to say. And I sat down with my sponsor for the first time, and I said I'm miserable and all of this, but I'm on all of these medications, but I need them. And she said to me, Taryn, they're not really working for you, so why do you need them in your life, and why do you need all of these things? And I was like, yeah, you don't understand though, but I need this and this and this. And I started working the steps, and I started my step 1, where I discovered that my life had become really unmanageable, and a power greater than myself could only help me. And yeah, basically step 1, 2, and 3, I can't, God can, so I think I'm going to let him. So I became honest, because I had the gift of desperation, and desperation and gift don't normally belong in the same sentence together, but they actually do for a change, for the first time, because I was gifted this desperation, which led me to become honest, open-minded, and willing to try something new, because I don't know all the answers. I know nothing. And that's the first time where I said I know nothing, is where I became teachable, and where I put that ego on the back seat, because for me, ego is edging God out. And yeah, God is my high power, and I listened for the first time. I did my 12 steps, and I was a handful, but I didn't like to listen in the beginning. I didn't want to listen. My sponsor told me things, and even though I'd been through all this pain and wreckage, she gave me suggestions, and I was like, how's that going to help anyway? And I was still skeptical, and I had prejudiced ideas and all of this going on for me. And eventually the pain got so much that I tried the things that she guided me with, and things started working. And I was reassured to know that by getting out of myself and making about other people, it actually relieved me of the pain, of the self-indulgent, self-pity pit that I had inside. And it gave me purpose, and I started realizing that it's not all about me, and it's God's lucky. God gave me a second chance to live again, and it's not my will anymore if I follow his will, because my will sucks. My will I tried for 32 years, and it got me nowhere fast. So I tried his will, and I tried the 12 steps, and I tried practicing spiritual principles, and I realized it's not perfection, it's progression, and I can try them. I'm not a perfect person, you know. I try them, and sometimes they don't always work, and it's okay, because I can try again. And it's a journey of making myself a better person, the best version of myself. And yeah, I did my steps, and I thought, cool, I've done this now I can go. I'm finished. That's it. But yeah, in again came the self-will, because this disease to me is cunning, baffling, powerful, and it's patient. And I was told in the treatment center that my disease is waiting outside the gate doing push-ups. So I thought, okay, my disease is there, I'm chilled inside here. But no, my disease was with me. My disease is with me all the time. And I got myself again into a hidden relationship inside treatment, and I thought I could hide this. And I started getting attention and affirmation from this girl that was in treatment, and I thought, I can handle this. I know what to do. I've done my steps. I don't need to tell my sponsor. I'll just wait till she leaves, and then I'll have this all sorted. And in the equation where I was wrong is I thought, and again my self-will started. And yeah, if you don't expose yourself in life, life will expose you. And I felt very short of myself, and I was exposed. And everything was taken away. I had to restart my steps again. I was put under consequences. I was disciplined. I had responsibilities. I was told to keep quiet. So I thought, all these consequences that they gave me, I'm going to rebel again against them, and I'm going to be the best listener. And my rebellion against these consequences actually caused me to get better. So I listened, and I tried again, and I redid my steps on relationships, and I discovered that relationships were just as poisonous as drugs and alcohol. And for the first time, I realized it's my behavior and it's me that's the problem, not these external things. I need to look within myself to become a better version and to make my life better. And it's not everyone's fault, it's my fault. And the blame game was over. And all these revelations, I'm so glad that this happened to me, because there's no mistakes in God's will. And I would have gone out there and made a mess up. And I'm really grateful. I learned how to be there for others. I learned how to, I can go on, but I need to stop rambling. I learned how to help others, how to stop making it about myself, and how to practice humility, because I get ahead of myself and that ego creeps in again, and that's really to my demise. And that's what causes me to become that person and fix on other things outside of myself to make myself feel better. And it really doesn't work for me. So I leant on God again, and I asked him again for direction. And I get on my knees every morning still, and I humble myself, and I have to humble myself. In treatment, we had life stories where people showed you character defects. And sometimes when I get ahead of myself in life and I start feeling that pain again, I go read my feedback and refocus on my character defects and humble myself again. And it's what keeps me sober, to look at myself and to see what I'm doing wrong, rather than blaming other people and how I can change my behavior for the better. And the one part in the big book that stands out for me as well, it says, see to it that your relationship with God is right, and big events will happen to you and countless others. And when my relationship with God is right, then stuff happens for me. But when my relationship with me is right, then when I get in the way, then stuff starts to mess up. So I'm so grateful for this program. I'm so grateful for these steps. That big book is like my Bible, really. I've got more notes in there than writing on the pages. I've been through it twice, and every time I go through it, I find a different version of myself. So it's not all about me, I've learned. And hey, I'm just 1 year. I didn't get here by myself. It's my higher power. So when I make it about me, that's when stuff starts to unravel. So I'm just grateful for my higher power getting me this far. And hopefully he's got a plan to get me further. And it's not my will anymore, it's his. So I'm going to leave it with that. And thanks for letting me share.